Okay, so unit 2, it's a single phase AC circuit. In this single phase AC circuit, first of all, we are going to learn AC fundamentals, and then single phase AC circuits we are going to simplify. For that, purely resistive, purely inductive, purely capacitive, like this components connected across single phase AC voltage. Such circuits, what will be the current in this circuit, what is the instantaneous voltage equation, what is the power consumption, what is the phasor diagram, what is the instantaneous power, then phasor diagram for this. So impedance, all these things we are going to see for these three circuits. Then once we finish with that, whatever the formula we derive based on that numericals based on these circuits, then later on we are going to see combination of this, that is series RL, then series RC, then series RLC connected across single phase AC voltage. So in this circuits also same things we are going to derive. What is the instantaneous current equation? What is the phase difference between voltage and current? What is impedance triangle, power triangle, voltage triangle? What is the instantaneous power equation? What is active, reactive, and apparent power? And once we derive all these relations, formula, then we are going to simplify the series RL, series RC, and series RLC circuit. Okay. So single phase AC circuit unit 2. Now here first of all, AC fundamentals we'll see. Whatever the some terms of AC fundamentals you already have learned in 12th, like what do you mean by RMS value, what do you mean by peak value, peak to peak value, time period, frequency, angular frequency. Some terms you already have studied in 12th. Okay, I'll repeat it again. I have to revise that one part. Okay, so all of you concentrate. First of all, AC fundamentals in BL Thareja. AC fundamentals you read first that chapter and then go for single phase AC circuit chapter. BL Thareja volume 1. Whatever the contents I conduct during lecture, same topic you read from BL Thareja. And same type of numericals you can solve from BL Thareja. Okay. So AC fundamentals we'll see first. Now, can you tell me generator is used for what purpose? What is the application of generator?
Mutual induction.
What is the application of generator? For what purpose generator is used? AC generator.
Generate electricity.
Correct. To generate electricity. Very good. Okay. So, what is the input to generator?
Any kind of mechanical energy.
Yes. What is the input to generator? And what is its output? Input to generator is mechanical and its output is electrical.
AC current.
So generator, its input is mechanical input. Okay. So what is used to give mechanical input to generator? Prime mover. Like diesel engine is one of the prime mover. Again, steam turbines, water turbines. Steam turbine, it is used in thermal power plants. Water turbine, it is used in hydropower plant. In our college, when MSCB supply is not there, we switch on the generator. That generator, to that generator, mechanical input is given using diesel engine. So these all are called as prime movers, which are used to give mechanical input to generator. Whenever we say we give mechanical input to generator, means where exactly it is given to its shaft. If you see generator construction, centrally you will find it's a circular cylindrical shaft. Then on it, rotor core is wound. It is attached to that. Rotor core is there. And then air gap is there. And then stator core is there. So on rotor core, on stator core, you will find conductors are there, copper conductors. This is the cut section front view. Okay. So here centrally, see here centrally it's a shaft. So whatever this centrally it's a shaft, to this shaft we give mechanical input using prime movers, steam turbine, water turbines, diesel engine. Its construction, working principle and all, it is included in last 2 units, which are not included in your syllabus due to this pandemic situation. Only 6 months we got, isn't it? Machines, DC machines is there in 5th unit, and AC machines is there in 6th unit. Due to this pandemic, these 2 units are not included. Not in detail, we have to go for construction of generator. That is not included in first 4 units. Okay, so just in brief, centrally shaft is there. On it rotor core is wound. On rotor core you will find copper conductors are there. Then air gap is there between stator and rotor. Whatever this white color portion, circular cylindrical, you can see it's a air gap between stator and rotor, and the outer one circular cylindrical is the stator core. And on the stator core, on its inner periphery, conductors are there. Like this is the construction you will find in generator and motor. Okay, now whenever we say we give mechanical input, so it is given to its shaft. So whenever you give mechanical input, means you are rotating the shaft in clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. So this rotor also will rotate, shaft rotate, and then a rotor also will rotate. This complete assembly rotate. Whenever we say we give mechanical input, means nothing but this rotor and shaft we are rotating in clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. Okay, and then what is the output of generator? It's a electrical. Okay, output of generator is electrical. So generator is used to generate the electricity. So output electrical, it can be AC, it can be DC. Alternating means whatever you can see on the screen right now. See, alternating, its magnitude and direction continuously changes with respect to time. Along y-axis I have considered here voltage, and along x-axis I have considered here time. So as time changes, this voltage, its magnitude and direction continuously changing. Okay, that is called as AC, alternating. Magnitude and direction continuously changes. Voltage depends on time. That's why voltage along y-axis and time along x-axis. And DC means we have seen in earlier unit. DC means what? Magnitude and direction continuously remains constant with the change in time. So for DC also, along x-axis time, along y-axis voltage, DC voltage, its amplitude or magnitude of DC voltage for DC. So all of you can see for DC voltage, its direction and magnitude remains constant. That is the difference between AC and DC. Okay, so DC means constant magnitude and direction with respect to time. AC means its magnitude and direction continuously changes with respect to time. Okay, this is the difference between AC and DC. So if it is a AC generator, means output you will get in the form of alternating voltage it generates. Okay, if it is a DC generator, then across its output terminal you will get the DC voltage. Its magnitude and direction is constant. Okay, so this is the unit single phase AC circuit. Means this AC fundamentals we'll see first. So generator, say, consider this case like 1 minute. Where can I show to you? Here. See, this is the North Pole. This is South Pole. Magnetic lines of flux. All of you have studied in 12th. Magnetic flux, magnetic lines of force. From where they start? From which pole? Magnetic lines
North
of
pole to south pole.
right. Magnetic, correct. Magnetic lines of force, they start from north, they move towards south pole, isn't it? And whenever moving, they prefer a less opposition path. Consider the 2 poles, north and south. So in between, magnetic field will be there. this total number of magnetic lines of force, we call it as a magnetic flux, which is denoted by phi. Unit is Weber. Okay, Weber is the unit for magnetic flux. So magnetic field is there between north and south pole. We cannot see it physically, but it is there. Its existence you can test. Okay, so consider from north to south pole, magnetic field is there. This is the direction of magnetic field. Now in this magnetic field, we are going to put one coil. We are going to put here one copper coil like this. What is the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction? All of you have learned it in 12th. Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. What is it? Whenever there is a relative motion between magnetic field and conductor, what happens?
Current flows.
Directly current flows?
And EMF is generated.
Right. First of all, EMF get induced in that conductor. And if the circuit is closed one, then current starts to flow. Okay. Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Whenever there is a relative motion between magnetic field and conductor, EMF get induced in the conductor. And if the circuit is closed one, current starts to flow. Okay, whatever this induced EMF, its magnitude is E is equals to minus N d phi by dt, right? E is equals to minus N d phi by dt. Whenever there is a rate of change of flux, EMF get induced in the conductor. If this d phi by dt is 0, no rate of change of flux is there, no EMF get induced in the conductor. Okay. Either field should be rotating or conductor should be rotating. If field is stationary, conductor is stationary, both are stationary, then d phi by dt will be 0. No rate of change of flux will be there. No EMF will get induced in the conductor. Okay. So what I told you, what is the input to generator? Which type of input we give to generator?
Mechanical.
Right, mechanical input is we give to generator. This is nothing but whatever you can see north and south pole, and in between conductor I have placed it. You can consider it as a small generator. Okay, this one conductor is nothing but this one coil or made up of copper conductor. This one coil this one coil made up of copper conductor. You can consider it as a rotor of generator. And this north and south pole, you can consider it as a stator of generator. Like this is the construction you will find. This is a small generator, you can say, very simplified form. Now we give mechanical input to generator. So I told you where we exactly give it to shaft. And on the shaft rotor core is there, and on the rotor core like this number of conductors, many conductors are placed. Okay. So you are giving mechanical input to generator, nothing but this coil you are rotating in the magnetic field produced by these north and south pole. Okay, in between the north and south pole magnetic field is there. Its direction is from north to south pole. Now in this magnetic field, you are rotating this coil made up of copper conductor. Okay, we are giving mechanical input to rotor. Means this coil you are rotating in this magnetic field. Same construction you can see here also. See, here north and south pole is there, and this coil is copper coil is there. And you are giving mechanical input, means this coil you are rotating. You rotate it either in clockwise, anti-clockwise direction. Like this is it is made up of conductor. Okay, now here what is done? This is so whenever this coil, consider initially this coil and this magnetic field, means plane of the coil and magnetic field both are parallel to each other. Means coil that angle is 0 degree. Okay, hold the coil so that the coil, its plane and magnetic field both are parallel to each other, means angle between them is 0 degree. So when angle between them is 0 degree, that is plane of coil and magnetic field. So no d phi by dt will be there. So no EMF will get induced in this coil when angle is 0 degree. So at 0 degree, no EMF get induced in the coil. So your graph will start from origin. This is the graphical representation of EMF induced in this rotating coil. Now consider you are gradually rotating this coil through 5 degree, 10, 15, 20, 30, so on. Okay, so what is happening now? There will be d phi by dt. There will be d phi by dt. You are giving mechanical input. You are continuously rotating this coil. Initially, the coil is at the position where the angle between the two is 0 degree. Okay, and then you are rotating the coil through 5, 10, 15, so on. So d phi by dt will be there. So as per Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, EMF will get induced because here magnetic field is there. In this magnetic field, you are rotating this coil. So d phi by dt will be there. So EMF will get induced. And as more you rotate, 10 degree, 20 degree, 30 degree, 40, so on. So more d phi by dt will be there. More get cut by that conductor coil. So EMF induced in that coil will go on increasing. And at 90 degree, this is the case at 0 degree. Here, wherever is the peak, this one maximum value. This is the condition when angle between the two is 90 degree. Means which one angle? The plane of coil and magnetic field. Okay. So when you have rotated that coil so that the plane of the coil and magnetic field, their angle is 90 degree, then you will find that time maximum flux get cut by that coil here in this condition. Okay, so when theta is 90 degree, maximum flux get cut by this coil. So whatever the EMF induced, it will be maximum. And whatever this induced EMF in the coil, you can find it using Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, its direction. So right now I have denoted it as a positive half cycle. And then again further 90 to 180 degree you rotate, go on rotating that coil. Right now 0 to 90 degree we have rotated it. Further you rotate it from 90 to 180 degree. What will happen now? d phi by dt, that is the flux cut by that coil, get reduced, go on decreasing. Okay, so 100, 110 up to 180 degree. So EMF induced in the coil will go on decreasing. And at 180 degree, what will happen? Again, both the planes are parallel to each other. That is the magnetic field and plane of coil. Both are parallel to each other. So again, at 180 degree, no EMF will get induced in the coil. Okay, so this is about the positive half cycle. Further, you rotate that coil after 180 degree, 190, 200, 210, so on up to 270 degree. What will happen? Again, whatever the flux cut by coil is increasing. So EMF induced also increases. But now what's about the direction of that induced EMF is reverse that of earlier one. Whatever is the direction of induced EMF between 0 to 180 degree, now reverse of it is the direction of induced EMF after 180 degree. And that one you can find out using Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, so see now induced EMF is in the reverse direction. That's why it is marked as a negative half cycle. Again at 270 degree you will find this is the case at 270 degree. 270 degree. So you will find maximum d phi by dt is there. Maximum flux get cut by the coil. So that's why maximum EMF get induced in that coil. That is the negative peak. It is marked negative peak, and at 90 degree positive peak. Further you rotate from 270 to 360 degree. Again after 270 degree, d phi by dt will go on decreasing, but direction of EMF induced is same. And again at 360 degree, when both the planes are parallel to each other, plane of coil and magnetic field, both are parallel to each other, no EMF will get induced in the coil. Means you have rotated coil from 0 to 90 to 180 to 270 to 360. Means how much revolution this coil has completed. How many revolutions? Only one revolution. Okay. So in one revolution, when that coil complete its one revolution, you will find like this is the nature of induced EMF in that coil. And further you go on rotating. Second revolution, second cycle, third revolution, third cycle, and so on. Okay, got it? So like this is the induced EMF in the generator, its graphical representation. So this one principle is used in generator. Generator works on Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. We give mechanical input to generator, nothing but you are rotating its rotor in a magnetic field produced by the stator poles. This is the stator of generator, this is the rotor of generator. You are giving mechanical input to rotor, nothing but you are rotating the rotor conductors in the magnetic field produced by stator. And as per Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, EMF will get induced in this coil. And whatever the EMF induced in this coil, its graphical behavior is like this. Okay, and this is the graphical behavior. Means at 0 degree, its value is 0. First positive peak occurs at what degree? Yes, first positive peak is occurring at what degree?
90.
90 degree, correct. At 180 degree, it's a 0. And negative peak is occurring at what degree? First negative peak?
270.
270 degree.
270.
270 degree. And this one is the 360 degree. And like this number of cycles you go on repeating. So this one is called as single phase AC voltage. Whenever you switch on single pole, single throw switch at your home, nothing but like this single phase AC voltage you are going to switch on. Okay, this is the graphical representation. And what's about its mathematical representation? V of t, Vm sine of omega t. So this Vm is nothing but it is its peak value. Here I have denoted it as Em. This Em is nothing but consider it as a V suffix m. Okay, induced voltage it is. So you can denote it as a capital E also, capital V also, no issue. Okay, so it is a purely sinusoidal waveform. That's why sine is here. Angular frequency is omega and omega t here. Okay, sine of omega t. This is graphical behavior. So this along x-axis you can denote time also, or you can denote theta also. Omega is the angular frequency. Its unit is in radian per second, and omega t theta is equal to omega t. So radian per second into second. Second will cancel radian. So theta radian to degree you can easily convert. Pi radian is equals to 180 degree. Using this relationship, you can convert radian to degree, degree to radian. Okay. So here, this is the graphical representation of the single phase AC voltage. And this is the mathematical representation V of t, Vm sine of omega t. V of t, Vm sine of omega t, or I of t, Im sine of omega t. This is the instantaneous voltage equation, instantaneous current equation. You will find this waveform is symmetric about x-axis. This waveform is symmetric about x-axis, and it is having first positive peak at 90 degree and first negative peak at 270 degree, and at 0, 180 degree and 360 degree value is 0. Okay, so whatever this alternating voltage or alternating current, if it is current, then equation will be I of t, Im sine of omega t. Okay, so whatever it is voltage or current, consider right now voltage waveform it is V of t, Vm sine of omega t. So whatever this alternating waveform, if you observe, this is the positive half cycle and this one is negative half cycle. This one complete is called as one cycle. So if later on you will find same portion repeats again and again, isn't it? So the alternating quantity, how you can define one cycle? So alternating quantity, a portion of it which repeats again and again is called as a cycle. So the portion of an alternating quantity which repeats again and again is called as one cycle. So positive and negative half cycle, this one is, you can call it as a one cycle because this portion repeats again and again. And the time taken by an alternating quantity to complete one cycle, what we call it?
Time period.
Right, time period, it is denoted by capital T. Unit is second. Okay, so time period, it is the time taken by an alternating quantity to complete one cycle. It is denoted by capital T. Unit is a second. And what is the inverse of time period?
Frequency.
Frequency, correct. Frequency is inverse of time period. Small f, frequency is denoted by small f. Unit is hertz or cycles per second. Whenever we say frequency, whatever the single phase AC supply you are getting at your home, so what is the supply frequency?
50 hertz.
50 hertz.
Okay, it's a 50 hertz. What does it mean? Like this 50 cycles. This is the one cycle. Like this 50 cycles, that single phase AC voltage completes in 1 second. Okay, that is the meaning of 50 hertz frequency, cycles per second. And you can see here, more the time period, more the time it will take to complete one cycle, lesser will be the frequency, because frequency and time period are inversely proportional to each other. Now we have rotated that coil, this one coil, in this magnetic field, and EMF get induced. Okay, so at every position of the coil, or at every time interval, measure the induced EMF in the coil. Suppose at T1 it's a E1, at TA suppose it is EA, at TM EM, so on. This is PB, EB, okay, so on, and go on plotting it at 180 degree or whatever is the time here. Here it is 0 and so on. So these are called as instantaneous value at that time. Whatever the dotted portion I have, whatever the dots I have represented here, these are nothing but these are called as the instantaneous value. At T1, what is the instantaneous value? E1. At TM, what is the instantaneous value? EM. At T2, what is the instantaneous value? Minus E2. Okay, so on. So value of an alternating quantity at that particular time is called as instantaneous value. Instantaneous value, it is denoted by small letters. See, small e here, small e1, small e2. So, and it is the function of time. Okay, it is the function of time. Whenever I have written like this, V of t Vm sine of omega t. So this is called as instantaneous voltage equation. So instantaneous voltage equation, it is denoted by small v, and it is the function of time. As time changes, value of that voltage or current changes. Okay, so instantaneous value of an alternating quantity means what? Value of the alternating quantity at that particular time interval. At T1 it's E1, at T2 it's minus E2. So instantaneous value are denoted by small letters. Now plot this instantaneous value like this. At every time interval, and join them together. If you join all these instantaneous value together, so whatever you are getting, that is called as the waveform. Once you join all instantaneous value together, whatever you get, that is called as the waveform. Okay, so cycle we have seen, time period we have seen, frequency I explained to you. Now amplitude or peak value or maximum value. So all of you can see whatever the EMF induced in that coil, its maximum value of the induced EMF is capital E suffix M. This is the maximum value. You can denote it as capital V suffix M also. So the maximum value of an alternating quantity is called as peak value or maximum value or amplitude, and it is denoted by capital letter suffix M. Capital V suffix M, capital E suffix M, voltage. Capital I suffix M, current. Okay, so the maximum value of an induced voltage or current is called as peak value, amplitude. Okay, then next one is angular frequency. It is denoted by omega. Angular frequency 2 pi f radian per second. F is equals to 1 by t. You can put here, you will get it 2 pi by t. Radian per second is the unit, and theta is equals to omega t 2 pi f t. Here theta you will get in radian. Okay, then peak to peak value. So peak to peak value, all of you know it. That is from, this is the negative peak here. Here it's a positive peak. So from negative peak to positive peak, this one is called as peak to peak. It is denoted by capital V suffix peak to peak, capital I suffix peak to peak. Suppose peak is 5 volt. So what will be the peak to peak value?
10.
10, correct. Twice of peak value is the peak to peak value. Okay, so peak to peak, it's the value from negative peak to positive peak. And twice of peak is called as peak to peak. Then next one is average value. So average of all instantaneous value is called as average value. Now, see, these all are the instantaneous value. Whatever I am going to denote it with the dot, these all are the instantaneous value. So average of all instantaneous value is called the average value of that alternating quantity. Now this waveform is symmetric about x-axis. Okay, so all these values are positive of positive half cycle, and of negative half cycle all values are negative, and it is symmetric about x-axis. So if we take average value over one cycle, how much it will be? Average of all instantaneous value. What is average?
0.
Yeah, it will be 0. Correct. What is average value? It's the average of all instantaneous value. And if we take average value of purely sinusoidal AC voltage or AC current over one cycle, then it will be 0. Because positive, it will be 0 because positive half cycle all values are positive, negative half cycle all values are negative. And this waveform is symmetric about x-axis, isn't it? So it will be 0. That's why what is done for purely sinusoidal AC voltage and AC current, average value is considered only for positive half cycle. Okay, so average of all instantaneous value over positive half cycle of an alternating voltage or current is called as the average value of that voltage or current. So it is denoted by capital V suffix average or capital I suffix AVG, and the formula is 0.637 times the peak value. Okay, so V average is 0.637 times the peak value of the voltage. Same formula you can use for in terms of current also. Now its derivation not included in your syllabus. Those who are interested for its derivation can refer the BL Thareja. Analytic method is there, graphical method is there for its derivation. As the contents are already more of this unit, derivation is not included, and anyway in the MCQ and derivation not get asked, isn't it? All the questions are of MCQ type, you have to take the correct option. So derivation not included in your syllabus. So average value is 0.637 times the peak value. Graphical method, analytical method are there in BL Thareja. You can find its derivation. Okay, then next one is root mean square value. Root mean square value, all of you know this formula. Vm by root 2 is VRMS, or 0.707 times the peak value is VRMS, because 1 by root 2 is 0.707, isn't it? So again, for this also same thing. Graphical method by analytical method is derivation, you can find it in BL Thareja. Derivation not included in your syllabus for root mean square value. Now suppose it's a series RLC circuit, and across it you are going to connect a single phase AC voltage source, means any AC circuit. In the AC circuit, where AC circuit means what source you have used is the single phase AC voltage, and it is denoted by symbol like this. See, this is the symbol for single phase AC voltage. So like this one symbol you can use for AC voltage. For DC voltage we have seen in last unit. For AC voltage this one. And here I have written small v of t. Small v of t means what? Is equal to Vm sine of omega t, which is called as instantaneous voltage equation. So single phase AC voltage. So whenever source is single phase AC voltage, suppose you have connected their AC type of ammeter in the circuit. See here, whatever circuit on your right hand side, it's a AC circuit, single phase AC circuit, source is single phase AC voltage, then one ammeter is connected in the circuit as a supply is source is AC. So AC type of meters you have to use here. So AC ammeter I have connected here. Ammeters we always connect in series and voltmeter we always connect in parallel, and one resistance is there. Okay, now here I have connected one ammeter. Suppose one voltmeter also I am going to connect across this resistance voltmeter. All of you know that we always connect in parallel. Ammeters in series, voltmeter in parallel. So here whatever the reading of ammeter, whatever the reading of voltmeter, it is displaying. Suppose ammeter reading is 1 ampere, voltmeter reading is 220 volt. So can you tell me this 1 ampere reading of this ammeter, 220 volt reading of this voltmeter, these values are peak value, peak to peak value, instantaneous value, or average value, or RMS value? Which values these meters represent? In AC circuit, we connect voltmeter.
RMS.
These represent RMS value. Okay, root means square value. So voltmeters connected in parallel, ammeters connected in series in AC circuits gives you some constant value, provided you are not going to change the supply voltage and circuit parameters. So whatever the value they represent, suppose ammeter reading 1 ampere, voltmeter reading is 220 volt. So these values are the root mean square value. Okay. Sometimes while solving the sum, in the sum supply specifications is given to you. We'll show you, for example. No, there it is not. Okay, fine. Supply specifications are given, like see in the sum they mention single phase 220 volt 50 hertz AC supply is applied across 5 ohm resistance. So find out the current flowing in the circuit. So what are the supply specifications given to you? Single phase 220 volt 50 hertz AC supply. So whatever the voltage given here, 220 volt, this one you have to consider as the root mean square value of that voltage, of the supply voltage. Sometimes in the numerical it is given that the current flowing through the resistance is 2 ampere. So that 2 ampere current flowing in the resistance mentioned in the numerical is the root mean square value of the current. Okay, so when we'll solve the numerical, it will be clear to you. Now, what do you mean by a formula? You already have studied in 12th. IRMS is Im by root 2, that is 0.707 times the peak value. So how you can define that root mean square value? Now here AC voltage, AC ammeter, resistance, suppose 10 ohm. Switch on the supply. Suppose some here ammeter reading it will give, consider it's a 1 ampere. So it is a root mean square value. So whatever this 1 ampere root mean square value, it is equivalent to DC value. Here also reading is 1 ampere and source is DC in this circuit. Current flowing is DC, but resistance, if you observe, it is same, 10 ohm. For same amount of time, we are passing the 1 ampere current through both the resistances, and for same time interval, and then it produces same amount of it is the root mean square value. Okay, so whatever this 1 ampere root mean square value of this alternating current is the value when is the value equivalent to DC current when you pass through the resistance, same resistance for same time duration produces same amount of heat. Then this 1 ampere is the RMS value which is equivalent to DC current. Okay, so like this you can define the root mean square value. So this is about the root mean square value. Then now we have seen peak value. We have seen root mean square value. Then average value also. So you take the ratio of peak value to RMS value. Vm by Vrms. So this ratio is called as peak factor and it is denoted by capital K suffix P. Okay. On whatever the topic we have seen up till now, on this you will get asked 1 mark MCQ numerical or 1 mark theory question. Okay. So peak factor, ratio of maximum value to RMS value. VM by VRMS. VRMS, all of you know. What is the formula for VRMS? 0.707 times the peak. So peak will cancel. So whatever 1 divided by 0.707 is 1.414. So for purely sinusoidal AC voltage, what is the peak factor? Or for purely sinusoidal AC current, what is the peak factor? So whatever is the peak value, whatever is the value of omega, you will find if it is a purely sinusoidal AC voltage or AC current, like V of t, Vm sin of omega t, or I of t, Im sin of omega t in this form, whatever is the peak value, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever it is, whatever is the value of omega, omega is 2 pi f, f can be anything, 50, 60, 70. So accordingly, omega will change, isn't it? So whatever is the peak, whatever is the omega, if it is a purely sinusoidal AC voltage or purely sinusoidal AC current, peak factor is always 1.414 because it is the ratio of maximum value to RMS value. Okay, VM by VRMS or IM by IRMS. Now we know RMS value and we know average value. So you take ratio of it, RMS to average value. RMS value formula we know, 0.707 times the peak value. Average value formula we know, 0.637 times the peak value is the average value. Take the ratio, you will get the form factor 1.11. So for purely sinusoidal AC voltage, V of t, Vm sin of omega t, or purely sinusoidal AC current, I of t, Im sin of omega t, whatever is the peak value, whatever is the value of omega, form factor is always 1.11. Its ratio is RMS to average. Okay. So which maybe like this voltage equation, current equation given to you, and they will ask you calculate the peak factor, form factor, or MCQ question for purely sinusoidal AC voltage. What is the value of peak factor? What is the value of peak factor?
1.414.
Right, 1.414. What is the value of form factor?
1.11.
1.11. MCQ question for 1 mark. Okay. And numericals on it. We'll see numericals. Okay. So almost all definitions you already have covered in 12th, like frequency, time period, peak value, peak to peak, RMS. So the rest I told you, form factor, peak factor, some additional, only few are additional. Now based on this numericals. So whatever first one numerical we are going to see, based on this 1 mark MCQ question you will get asked in same exam. Read the question. Anyone please read it. Yes, roll number 1 to 10. Anyone read? 10 to 20. Anyone please read the question. Okay. And alternating current, it is given by I of t 5 sine of 314.15 t ampere. Alternating current, it is given by this instantaneous current equation. Okay, what you can say, instantaneous current equation, I of t is 5 sine 314.15 t. Unit is ampere. This one is called as instantaneous current equation. So instantaneous value denoted by small letters I. It is a function of time t, isn't it? Okay. So find, you have been asked to find its amplitude, angular frequency, then frequency in hertz, time period, form factor, peak factor, average value, RMS value, and peak to peak value. Okay. So compare this. You got the sum. Compare this with instantaneous current equation. What is the instantaneous current equation? Yes, standard instantaneous current equation is what?
Imax sin omega t.
Correct. I of t is equal to Im sin of omega t. Unit is ampere. Compare it with the given instantaneous current equation. If you compare, what you find? What is the value of Im?
5
5.
pm.
5 ampere, isn't it? So amplitude or peak value of the current is 5 ampere. Easy as some, not difficult for 1 mark. What will be the angular frequency?
15,
314.
0.15.
0.15.
Correct.
15 pi.
Correct. Omega is 314.15. What is the unit for it?
Radian per second.
Correct. Radian per second. Okay. Comparing only we got the value. Now peak value we got 5 ampere. See here peak amplitude 5 ampere. So what will be the peak to peak?
10 ampere.
10 ampere. Correct. Peak to peak value of the current. I suffix peak to peak. Twice of peak, that is twice of 5. So 10 ampere. Angular frequency omega 314.15 radian per second. Omega formula, you know what is the formula of omega?
2 pi into f.
2 by f. So using this, can you calculate the frequency? 2 pi, pi means 3.14, isn't it? Put here 3.14 and so frequency, how much you will get? 50 hertz. Once you know omega, can you calculate frequency?
Yes, ma'am. It's 50
Okay,
hertz.
frequency we got. Now, can we calculate the time period once we know the frequency?
Yes, ma'am. 1 by
Frequency.
t.
Correct.
1
Time
by
period. 1 by f. That is the 0.02 second. Now peak value we know 5 ampere. So how you will calculate the root mean square value?
Peak by root 2.
Correct. Peak upon root 2. You will get the 3.535 ampere is the RMS value. Now we know peak. Can we calculate the average value? What is the formula?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the
2 by
formula?
pi into peak value.
0.0636.
0.637 times the peak value is average value. So peak we know 5 ampere. Put here. So you will get it 3.185 ampere. This is the average value. And form factor and peak factor. You know peak factor is what? A ratio of peak to RMS. Peak value just now we have calculated. RMS also we have calculated. So you will get it 1.414. Form factor is the ratio of RMS to average. RMS just now we have calculated. Average also you will get the ratio 1.11. Any difficulty in this sum? Any
No, ma'am.
difficulty? Okay. This one PDF I already posted on Google Classroom. All of you solve the sum. Can go through that PDF and the same content. Please read it from BL Thareja. This is the second sum. This one, if difficult type, you will get asked it for 2 marks. Means earlier one, any one parameter or 2 parameter, you will get asked for 1 mark. Earlier one, this one, up to this, whatever numerical we have seen. Okay. This one, whatever the next sum on the screen, this one if simple for 1 mark, if slightly difficult for 2 marks of this type. Here, see like this instantaneous current equation or voltage equation will be given to you. So for this, either instantaneous value of current is given to you and they will ask you calculate the time, or reverse. Time is given and you will get asked to calculate the instantaneous value. Such type of numericals if simple for 1 mark, if slightly difficult for 2 marks. Okay. So see next one. This one sum next time we'll conduct.